me just go to the level of the data, right? So now I have taken here an example, sample data of the transaction table which we have. This is the exact same table which I was referring in the entity relationship diagram, which has these set of columns, right? Transaction ID, date, and all. So you can see the same columns here. These are in the columns. Right? The data is stored here. There are two transactions. I've colored them in different colors. Right? This and this one. There are two transactions, and it has been performed on 2014. One transaction is on the November 10th. The other one is on December 22nd of 2014. And we also have the timestamp, like what exact time the transaction has been performed, and in what store has it been performed, and by what customer, and what did they exactly buy, the products they bought, right? So they bought some product. We don't know this information yet, but we can get to know this information by using product master. So this product ID will be there in this table bottom here, which has product master table. You can search for this product here in this table and then see what does it belong to. It belongs to category men's shirt, polo, subcategories polo. So all this information you will be able to get fetched. But right now, the level of the data, right? So that is very important. So what is level of the data? Let's say there is a table, these tables, for example, we have to identify a particular row of that table. Let's say I want to identify sixth row. So you need to tell me some few conditions, like transaction ID is this. I'll be able to identify 4 rows, right? If I put a filter of transaction ID, I'll be able to fetch these 4 rows. But what if I want to fetch the sixth row over here? How will I do that? Right? I have everything common here. If you see, timestamp common, store common, customer is also the same. But if you see, the product is changing, right? Discount type also has slightly changed. 3 of them are promotion, 1 of them is coupon, but product ID doesn't. Product ID is not repeating, which means that this is unique at this level. But it is not unique at a product ID level, because if I just tell product ID this, then I'll have 10 or 15 or n number of rows which other customers might have bought in other transactions. So definitely here, if you see transaction ID and product ID, if I tell these two filters, right, the product ID is this and the transaction ID is this, then this will filter out to one row of this table, irrespective, right? In any of the row, if you want to filter out, you just need two things. So the transaction ID and product ID. So the level of the data is something like you have to have minimum number of combinations of columns, which you can filter and arrive at a single row, right? So that is the level of data. So why level of data is important is because you know that this is going to get filtered to one row. So now if you join this, you will know that if the left side of your table has 2 rows, this is going to have one row only, right? So still that is going to be fine. But if at all there are going to be 4 rows, and if I'm going to do a join, one row is going to split into 4 rows. So that is going to get duplicated. So you definitely always have to get to know the level of the data. I mean, I think this might sound a little tricky to you right now, but you will understand it once I go through the joins. But for now, all you have to remember is the level of the data, how to identify it. What is level of the data? Then one row, how do you pick? Using a minimum set of filters, minimum set of columns, how do you reach to filtering out a particular row? That is called level of the data. Now, this is used for the transaction. Let's say we have product master, right? The same way, can you guys guess how can we filter out like one particular row in this table, in the product master table, using a minimum number of columns? So what columns you can use? Is it a 1 column? Is it 2 column? Is it 3 column? How many columns we can use to filter out to the one particular row of this table? Any guesses? So basically, you need to think about what is it unique at. Is it you mentioned a particular, let's say I mentioned category column as men's, then I filter out to these many rows. I don't need this many rows. I need to specifically pick a particular row. How can I do that? Using a minimum set of columns filters. Any guesses? I'll just wait for 5-10 seconds here. I'll go back to the Excel so you can see and then try to guess. So what is that column, or what are the set of columns which I can pick and then say that the column is going to, if you tell me the value of that column or columns, the row are going to remain the same. Like one row I'll be filtering out. by filtering exactly with primary key value, I guess. Yes, exactly. So there is a concept of primary key here in this table. So what is primary key? Primary key is something on which if the row is going to be remaining the same, like it doesn't get the primary key. Let's say this is the primary key in this case, and why it is the primary key? Because this particular product ID doesn't repeat in any of the row. So you have a product ID here. This doesn't repeat in any of the table because one product has one row here. So this is called the primary key of this table. A primary key concept is other concept. We will walk you through that later. But for now, all you have to understand is level of the data. If you have a primary key, that is your level of data. First thing. So here in this table, this is the primary key product ID. You know that if you filter for a particular ID, this particular ID, you are going to retain with one row, which is the 18th row here. So any of the product ID you mentioned, there is going to be only one row, right, which you are going to get. So this is the level of the data. Product ID column defines the level of data in this table, and which is also the primary key in this case. Like in the top table above, you don't have a primary key here in this because this is not unique at any level. It is unique at a combination of transaction ID and product ID, right? So this is a combination of this. If you can prepare, like let's say I prepared something like concatenation of transaction ID and product ID. So this is going to remain unique. So now this is going to be my primary key, right? Here, yeah, so here this is going to be the primary key, but forget about the concept of primary key. It might be too much in this session at least. Yeah, so that is how you guess the primary key of this or the level of the data. Then coming to the store master, the same way you have a store ID here, right? Store ID is going to not repeat at any point of time. Even the name might repeat sometimes, but ID should never repeat. So that is how the people would be saving the data. So something like this is going to be the primary key and also the level of the data. It is going to remain unique at each row if you filter out for a value. And you have city master here, the last table we have here. This is also going to be unique at a city level. Even this is actually unique at another levels as well. But as by the name, you can know that this is going to be the column which you can rely upon. Yeah, so I think this is the level of data. Any questions still here? I'll just pause on for 5 seconds if exactly with the primary key value. Okay, this is done. Yeah, so if any of you have any questions, I can solve it. I can explain it again, any of the concepts which is not clear. Okay. Okay, then I hope we are good, right? Okay, linking different tables concept, please. Okay, linking. Yeah, actually, Guru, this particular class doesn't cover that because linking tables. So these two tables, let's say we have to link. We will link it on what? We will link it on product ID. Product ID, you have it here. So I'll show it in Excel how you can link the tables. So what I do is I do a VLOOKUP. At least in Excel, I can show it to you right now. It is an easy concept because I try to use this particular product ID. I try to get it from this. Right now, this particular ID is not available in the bottom table. But let's see if any of them is available. Okay, at least in this case, it is not available. Let's say I copy this particular thing. I paste it here. Then it will get my value. Right. So this is how, I mean, you can get link the tables. I can VLOOKUP and get it. Let's say I can put this column left of this, right? I can try to VLOOKUP now in this direction. Maybe I can put the VLOOKUP formula again. So let's say I want to get the subcategory of this. This is the fourth row. So you can also see right now, right? So I'm doing a lot of effort putting, right, typing the formula and also putting it manually dragging. So there is going to be a lot of errors going to happen. So right now you can notice that the polo. So others don't have a value because they don't exist in the bottom table, the product IDs. But the first product ID we have just pasted it here, right? So now the subcategory of this is we are getting it here. So this is how you do it in Excel. The same concept. What you do in SQL is basically you join it. So you use this table as table A, right? Table A is this, and the bottom table is table B. So you do a join A left join B, something like that you do, and then you put conditions like on which it should join. On product ID, it should join equals to product ID. From the A dot equals to B dot. So you do something like this: A dot product ID equals to B dot product ID. And the SQL is case is not case sensitive, so you can feel free to write it anything. So you do this, and then this performs the join. And if you want to select on something from this, then you just need to specify select. But yeah, I think I'm just giving an overview. This is not to explain this concept fully because we don't have time. We have just 15 minutes more left. So, but something like this, you have to do it in SQL, which I'm going to explain in the later sessions. But for now, yeah, this is how you do a join. This is how you link the tables up. Okay, then I guess there are no more questions, right? In case there are, feel free to type in here. I'll have a look. Yeah. So then let's solve something. Let's actually practice some simple basic querying in SQL. I have a platform open with me, which is BigQuery here in this case. Yeah. So the same exact table we have here, the transaction table, I have it in BigQuery. So this course is going to have these many tables in the starting, and we will expand as we go on with the course. But for now, we have like set of 7-8 tables here. So transaction master is one of them, which is a very important table because it has all the transaction information. So let's say so in BigQuery it is very easy. Let me just give a brief overview here, like a quick minute overview. So this testing is the project name. So this is called something as project. This is something called as dataset, and this is something called tables. So this is a table which has rows and columns like we were looking in Excel. And this particular thing you can preview it and then see how many rows it has, what are the column names, what are the values. You can go through it as well in BigQuery, and you can go through the schema and then get to know what is the data type of it, right? And also the details you can go, if someone has prepared a query for this to create this table, that will be created, written it over here, and you can get to see when it is created, when it is going to expire and everything. And yeah, so these are the set of tables which we have, and the set of tables combinedly will be stored in a data set here. And this set of data sets will be stored in a project. So I created a project, I started a data set, so I can actually go and create more data sets as well here, right? Currently I don't have the permission because I had used another account to create this. But yeah, we can create more data sets, we can create more tables, anything we can do based on the access permission we have. So in this data set, let's pick up the table master, transaction master. So I'll just click on this query table option here. So the BigQuery is very easy. It is very user friendly. So we click on something on a table, particular table, it automatically forms up a sample query for us, which says actually we can actually do this using format, and it gets formatted and beautifully it will write it for you. So here you can see from. So how do you read SQL? You don't go through a select first. You don't go through the from second. So first, what you do is whatever the query is, you go through from. So you write from what table you want, because the reason I'm saying this is because the computer actually does it that way. It sees from, it sees what table you are going to refer. It sees, okay, it is testing project. Okay, it says inside testing project there is a training data set, and inside the data set of training you have a master, transaction master. So this is the table what you have to refer to get the query, right? So then it sees that, okay, from this table what do I have to do? I have to limit the rows by 1000, and what do I do? Need to select it. I need to select all the rows, all the columns. So if I have to select all the columns and limit it to 1000, then I do this. Star is something when you use it for selecting all the columns. I can either select transaction ID also, right? I can just select transaction ID and then also just limit it. And when I run it, I will receive 1000 rows here filtered. So you can see the query actually ran very fast. It actually took 0.3 seconds to run, and it processed 1.2 MB of data. Now you can see there are like 1000 rows because we have limited it for 1000 rows, right? So you can do this, like you have selected transaction ID here, but you can do select star. You can just remove the limit option. So what do you get? You get all the entire records of the table. You get all the columns and all the records because you have not limited it. So now you can see here it is 39,000 rows the table has, and these many columns it has, right? The same way, if you don't need this all the rows, you just want this 39,000 number. How do you do that? You do count star. The way you were doing star is to select all the columns. Count star is to select the number of rows this output has, the total data has here in this case. You do this, you get the number simply, right? So now let's do something else. Let's try to filter out for the transactions we have. I type where is the condition, like how you filter, right? So this is where we will filter. So where transaction ID. So I want to filter out for, let's say I'm going to filter out for one transaction which we have here, this particular one. Let me copy this. I'll filter it. I am keeping a string, like I mean this apostrophe here because this is a string. So when something is a string, you need to put this. If it is not a string, you just simply type up the number. Here in this case, I have typed this, but it still shows some error. So this is so user friendly that it shows that on which line the error is. Here you can notice that there is some error highlighting on from. So when you click on the right side of this open validator, you get to know that select must not be empty. So we are not sending anything over here, and that is why the error was coming up. So let's select something. Let's select all the columns. All the columns is star. I run this. Yes, I get 4 rows, which you can see these are the exact same 4 rows which we have in the Excel, right? Yeah. So the way I was saying count star here, if even if I do count star here, I will get 4 number of rows. So the 4 will be the answer. You will get 4 if I run this. But let's see how else we can use count star here. So you know that discount type has promotion and coupon, right? These 4 rows have 3 rows have promotion and 1 row has coupon. How do you get this one? Like I mean, how many times promotion, how many rows promotion has, and how many rows coupon has? You simply do introduce that column discount type. You introduce. If I press tab, that will come up eventually automatically. So you can just fill in by autofill. So now again there is an error. If I have introduced a column, it is throwing some error because I want the discount type ka count star number of rows at the discount type level. Like for each promotion, how many rows it has, coupon it has, how many it has. In this case, it should be like promotion 3, coupon 1. That should be the output, but I am getting some error. Why do we get this error? It's a select list expression references column distinct type, which is neither grouped nor aggregated. Yes. So something we are not doing missing here is aggregation. So we wanted an aggregation on this, which is so this is something called aggregation. We are counting something on this level, or if you do sum of, let's say I do sum of quantity, let's do quantity as unit, as is alias. Like if I just run this up, I'll get some name in the column. You can see the difference in count star and this one. I'll show you quickly. So here I'm going to do this aggregations at two level of aggregations. Count star is one, the other one is aggregation is sum. But I'm not grouping it. So I need to specify like to group it. Where you use group by. Group by one. One is something like discount type. Like the first column, if you are not lazy, you can type discount type. It will group by that. But if you are lazy, you can use one, which is the first column here. One basically refers to the number. Like you can specify 2 as well, but in this case it will error out because it can group on this. Let's say you have discount type in the second column, then you can specify group by 2. But in this case, let's run this. Yes. So now you can see the promotion has 3 rows. But if you notice here, there is F0 underscore because you have not actually labeled this column. You have created this column in a hurry, but you haven't labeled. So let's name this like this as count of rows. Let's run it again. Okay. So now you can see promotion has 3 rows and it has 8 units in the sum. Coupon has the same way 1 row and 3 units. So this is one aggregation which we are doing. So like this, right? If we go on doing, there are a lot of aggregations we can do. We can get the things at transaction date level, right? So same way how we did for discount type, we can simply do transaction date and then do the count star. Same way. In this case, it is going to filter out for this particular transaction. So it is going to give you like this has been done on this date. These many rows were there and these many units it has been involved in this transaction. Let's say I remove the filter. How do I remove? There's a comment kind of thing where you do minus minus, it becomes a comment. So this won't be considered. So this will be as good as I remove it also, it will work. So now if I run, there's no filter of transaction. So it will perform it on the total data set. Now it will give me all the records on different days, how many number of rows it has and how many units it has been sold. And these are 2 metrics I'm simply getting, but there are a lot of metrics like revenue margin, which you can calculate day on day, every day. And you can also do something called order by. Order by is something like you order by using the first column. So right now it is all jumbled. If you see, this is on 10th of November, this is on 22nd of December, 14, it is 16, 15. So it is all jumbled. So if you want it in some order, you just do order by that column. Column is the first column here. Now it gets ordered. So this is the minimum date. You can see it is all ordered now. You can go to the last page. You can see the maximum date as well here. The maximum date is 31st of December 2018. So these are the sample querying structures, like how you can do. But this is very basic. But still, using the basic, you can get to know the sales at a day level. You can convert this date into year by putting extract and all right, which is little complex, but you can play around. So what I'll do is, once you guys sign up for this course, I will provide access to you. The classes will start from next Saturday, but I'll provide access so that you guys can go through it, perform some queries and get familiar with the data, and then we start on the queries which are going to start from some basic like this, and where we do joins and we make the sub queries. We have a lot of things in SQL which we are going to cover. So this is how the course is going to look like. The data set is going to be this, and these are the sample tables. And quickly to cover, I can have 5 minutes. I can maybe quickly solve one problem here, which we have. What is the quantity and revenue, right? For this two set of transaction IDs, what is the quantity and revenue? I want to get to know. And the condition is note, right? Exclude the returns. So the returns must be excluded. So what are returns? Returns are something where you have the quantity as negative. So wherever it is negative, it is a return. Like you purchase a product, you return it. So whenever it gets returned, in this data, in the retail data which we have here, it will be counted as -1. So here it is being returned, which means that it's -1 or -2. If 2 units are bought and they are returning 2 units, it will be minus. So you just want to filter out for these cases, right? You don't need these cases. So let's see in Excel how we can do. So in Excel, it is simple process here because it is only for 2 transactions. It is not for n number total, a huge amount of data. It doesn't have any million records. It just have 8 records here. So what I do, I just put a SUMIF formula. I just sum up everything here where it is greater than or equals to 0, which means that I am summing all the positive ones. As you can notice here, it is summing up to 20. So this is the answer, right? 20 units are being sold in this. And what is the selling price? So here we want the revenue. Revenue is calculated how? Using selling price, right? How much price we are selling at. So if I go to the selling price formula, I put here, which is basically price minus discount. So we are selling at $22 and we are giving a discount of $5. So this minus this gives me the selling price. And using this selling price, now I have quantity. So this much is the selling price, but I have sold 2 units of it. So if I go to the revenue formula, it is quantity times the selling price. So this is the revenue. So this is the revenue at row level, but I need to sum up everything except for the non-negative rows. So when I sum all this up, I get $712. So this is the profit. This is the revenue, not profit. Profit is something revenue minus the cost. So this is some simple business terms. Don't mind if even if you're not getting these terms. But the concept is to demonstrate that quantity you are getting here, revenue you are getting by using these many columns, you are creating all this, right? So the same exact thing can be done in SQL. I can quickly show you how. Let's go to the transaction master. I'll query on it again, same way. I'll remove the limit. I don't need the limit. I try to make it more structured so that you guys can easily read it. Then I need to put 2 filters, right? So these are the 2 filters. Transaction ID should be in this. So I put a where filter here, where trans, I press tab, I get this, and then I go and put in the filters. The 2 filters are the 2 transaction IDs, which in this case are these 2. Let me just copy them. So if I had one filter, I would have used equals to sign. But here it is a list of values. So whenever it is a list of values, I use in statement here, and I put the 2 values here, which I can put it this way, but it doesn't give me because it is a string. So I need to put the values like this and separate it by comma. Then I go here, I end it with a apostrophe. Right. So now it is again erroring because we are not selecting anything. So let's select what we want. Again, one more condition we missed on, which is basically the quantity should be greater than 0. It should not be negative. So it should be greater than 0. This is also the condition. There are 2 conditions. The transaction should contain in these 2 transactions, and the quantity should be greater than 0. Now we want to select what was the quantity sum. So sum of quantity as units, then sum of. So we want to get the revenue now. So let's see how can we get the revenue. We were doing this, right? We were doing price minus discount. So you can do price. You can forget about sum first. Let's write the normal formula: price minus discount. So this will give you what? This will give you the selling price. Selling price multiplied by what? units. This will give you the revenue. So this entire thing will be at a row level. But if you want to aggregate, you will do sum of, and this is going to be the revenue, right? So uh, let's run this. Okay, right now we got an error again. So there was one extra this which we can remove, and again it says something. Let's see. Unrecognized name. Okay, there is. Okay, the units has actually, this is the quantity column. This is not units. Yes, this was not the case. Yeah. Right. If I multiply by the quantity, I should get the revenue. Let's see. Yes. So we got 20 and $712 here, which is what we also have it here, right? 20 and then $712 is the revenue. So this is how you write a simple query. This is a simple query here, where we are using two filters. I can again do a format so that it is clear. Yes. So now you can see from a particular table I'm selecting, this is clear. Then we go to the where statement. We put in two filters. One filter is transaction ID should contain in these two transactions, and the quantity should be greater than 0. Right. After these two filters from this table, then we go here into the select statement. We try to sum up all the quantity, sum up all the formula which we created this. So we do price minus discount and multiply by quantity. We get it at a row level, but we have to roll it up. That roll the 8 rows to 1 row. So we just do sum of all the things. So we get that, right? So in any questions so far, like I think we have covered most of it. I actually thought of covering one or two more questions, but I think the time is not permitting in this session. I'll definitely continue with the other questions in the next sessions. But yeah, I think any questions on this simple structuring or anything over here or anything related to this, I'll just pause on a minute so that we can clarify the doubts on this. Okay, thank you. We have questions.
Yeah, Charan, can I ask?
Yes, yeah.
So, what is the most commonly used platform for the SQL in organizations?
Okay, in big organizations right now, Amazon, I mean Redshift is there. Something called Redshift is there, which is provided by Amazon. So
Okay,
big organizations use Redshift. Some organizations use SQL Server. Some use BigQuery. I feel BigQuery is more efficient because it is very cheap, right? If I go here, when it runs this much amount of data, I get the output in faster time. The time is almost similar to in all the platforms, the major platforms like Redshift or SQL Server. This SQL Server might be slightly slower, but BigQuery is actually fast. So organizations in my company as well, this BigQuery is being used. Even in many
so
companies, this has been used because this is something provided by Google. So this definitely has quality in it.
okay, so
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
free to use.
Yes, I mean this is free to use, but to a certain limit. I mean I can't query a lot of it, but definitely you can use it. So that is how I created this, but I purchased a particular pack so that I can get everyone used to this project. I created this table by myself, all the tables, yeah, the random data and some kind of data so that it makes sense. So I created this, and the session are going to happen in this BigQuery.
Okay,
Yeah. But yeah, saying that, having said that, like whatever the platform is, the main logic is going to remain the same. So because I have worked in multiple organizations where I worked in another platform, something called Cosmos, which is also SQL based, but the logic part remains the same. So the something here and there might change. Like I was doing some group by one here, but that might not work in all the platforms. But the main logic will definitely work everywhere. So that is what we should actually focus on.
okay.
Is there classes for PL SQL as well? No, actually, we have the classes only for the BigQuery SQL here in this. Right. So this entire series is going to happen on BigQuery. But like I said, the platform doesn't matter if you actually know SQL better.